This is the ultimate guide for the Deagle in CS2. After watching this video, you will feel more confident and hit more insane shots with the staple of counterstrafe. If you're not sure you can trust me, I'm Louis, a 3000 ELO player on Faceit, and I play internationally with Team USA at LAN events around the world. We'll start with how to peek effectively with the Deagle, then we'll talk about how you can spam while staying accurate by abusing an unknown mechanic. Next, we'll go over a few ways to successfully pre-fire using the Deagle, and finally we'll talk about when you should counterstrafe and when you should not. I've included timestamps in the description below, so you can skip ahead or revisit any tip you like. Now I'll start with how to peek effectively with the Deagle. Now, peeking is very important when you're using the Deagle, so you need to understand how to peek so you're not just going to get instant headshotted by an op that may be posted on CT spawn or somewhere on the B side of Mirage. So one of the best ways to peek with the Deagle where you don't even have to counterstrafe is the crouch slide peek. So if I were to practice my pre-aim knowing where to aim if an opper was at ticket booth, I could just crouch slide on this guy and just instantly one tap him with a Deagle. Now you can see that I'm not even counterstrafing, I'm literally just sliding with the Deagle, and they call this the F1 peek or something like the Xantares peek, where you're just sliding across their screen and not even counterstrafing. This peek is really good because on the opponent's screen, you're just going to be crouch sliding and you're not even going to be stopping on their screen, so they're going to have to constantly track where you're moving and it's going to mess them up completely. If I was an opper in CT and I'm holding this angle right here, if I were to crouch peek with the Deagle, he's going to have to move his crosshair to adjust to where I am, and it's going to be a lot harder shot for him to hit. The thing about Counter-Strike, especially if you guys watch Donk, you'll know that you need to be a hard target to hit, and practicing this peek will make it a lot harder for the CTs or even the Ts if you're using a Deagle on CT side and maybe you're retaking. It will make you a lot harder to hit. As you can see right here, if I were to just crouch slide peek this guy, it's going to look like on his screen that I'm just running headshotting him with this crouch slide, and it's going to probably till him a lot, but this is the most efficient way to peek with the Deagle, because if you are a newbie watching, this is definitely something you can abuse since you don't have to counter strafe at all. You can even just tap crouch if you wanted and not even worry about counter strafing, because you can see right here that I'm literally just crouch peeking and not counter strafing at all. And this is one of the most efficient ways you guys can peek with a Deagle, and you're gonna notice you're gonna get a lot more free kills. Now let's move on to our second topic, the recoil reset. Now I see a lot of people trying to spam the Deagle, so it's going to look like this, and your bullets are going to go everywhere, and that's not what you want, especially at a farther range. So if you want to make sure that your bullets are going straight with the Deagle, everyone knows the tip that actually Austin CS made a video on, is you want to follow the beat of staying alive. Just by staying on the beat, and my bullets are going straight. So if I have to take a fight towards window at a long range duel, I can theoretically spam the Deagle and my bullets are just going to go straight, because a lot of noobs love to just sit here and just spam the Deagle trying to get an easy headshot like this, but that is not efficient at a far range. It can work anywhere on the map as well, as long as you practice in aimbots or on a server of you literally just spamming at this beat. You'll see that even me spamming right here a little bit faster than what it is, the bullets are going to just be in a nice tight circle, which is exactly what you want when you are using the Deagle. If you watch someone like Niko or Donk, they've mastered this and they don't freak out when they see an enemy, because if you freak out when you see an enemy, your bullets are just going to go everywhere and you're going to just miss a shot. And so you need to make sure that you are mastering this tight recoil pattern of the Deagle, and you'll notice that you'll start to get a lot more kills. Even if there's two people swinging you, you can still keep that beat and you can see that my bullets are still going straight. Surprisingly, you can spam the Deagle faster than what you think you can. Learning how to pre-fire and learning common angles that CTs are playing will help you get more headshots with the Deagle as well, because you're not going to have to move your crosshair as much if you didn't know where a CT would play. So a good example is somewhere towards the B site of Mirage, where there's a lot of common angles where someone may play towards Ska Pillar or Missile Pillar, or over here towards the trash can holding this window in this little gap here. So one thing that I would want to do to efficiently get good with the Deagle on maybe an eco round or a force buy round is to practice these angles by placing bots on the floor. Now in order to pre-fire, not only do we need good crosshair placement, but we also need good counter strafing. So I want to efficiently peek this guy where technically he would be here, but I couldn't get the bot to place exactly where I wanted to. But you want to make sure that your peaks are tight and you're not overextending and exposing yourself, because if I peek too far, there could be an opper inside a market window and he would op me. So I want to make sure that I understand where I need to put my crosshair for a headshot level. I would want to make sure I'm practicing just shooting in this area here, but you just want to make sure that you're stopping as
fast as you can and having that good crosshair placement, you can see if I know the angles efficiently, I'm just not even moving my crosshair and I can just headshot anyone with this Deagle. And I just want to practice going through the site. You don't even need bots to practice pre-aiming at all or your counter strafing. You just need to imagine where CTs might be playing. So another good example is over towards the A site where I can just practice clearing out the site with my crosshair, where I'm clearing triple. Now I'm clearing CT, I'm clearing default. Now I'm kind of moving out towards the rain wall. I'm stopping to clear it, making sure I'm counter strafing, making sure I'm taking my time. Now, one thing that pros do when they are pre-aiming angles is they like to stop and reset every time just to reset their crosshair, because when you're pre-aiming, you're not dragging your crosshair on the wall like this. What pros like to do is they like to put their crosshair in a position where they don't have to move it, where it's already on head level, and they just like to swing into the angle. So if someone was clearing jungle and top con at the pro level, and you want to be really efficient with your crosshair where you don't have to move it as much, you can see they would clear jungle like this. They would then move their crosshair to get ready to peek left side con, just like this. And then they would move towards cat, just like that. And then they would just make sure their crosshair isn't really moving. It's just pre-aiming at the angle. So as soon as they are on the angle, they don't have to move their crosshair at all. Another good example is if I'm going to peek jungle from this side, let's say we've already taken sight, my crosshair is going to be looking at the wall, and then I'm just going to peek into jungle. So all I have to worry about is counter strafing and not moving my crosshair. Now, one thing you guys can do to improve on this is to download the Prefire workshop maps, which I've made videos on before in the past. And this will help you learn how to pre-aim, because they have a nice little wall hack option where you can see where the bots are, so you can practice placing your crosshair where it needs to be. And you'll start to notice you know the common CT angles, and you also know where to place your crosshair. Now, one of the most important tips I can give you guys is to practice counter strafing, because there's going to be times where you're not going to be constantly able to crouch slide peek someone, especially if you're trying to entry out onto a site, or maybe you're grouped with your team and you're the first guy in front, so you need to take space. So you're going to have to be constantly moving forward just to make sure your team is getting the space they need to trade you. So being able to counter strafe is going to be very important, especially on a Deagle round. Either it's a force buy or maybe you just hear about a Deagle, because if you can't counter strafe to shoot the opponent in front of you, then you're going to struggle a lot. Now, if you're going to practice counter strafing with the Deagle, you'll notice that it's going to also help you with rifles and pistols, because obviously you need to counter strafe inside of Counter Strike. And the best way to do that is to get into a workshop map, or maybe just an offline map like this, and just practice counter strafing back and forth, just aiming at a wall. This is one of the best things you guys can do if you are newer to Counter Strike, where you're just going back and forth like this. Or you can practice the Prefire maps or on aimbots where you're just strafing back and forth. But one thing that I found that works for me with the Deagle is literally just practicing pre-aiming and counter strafing at angles, trying to stop on a dime, just practicing clearing certain angles. I've hit so many clips just clearing out jungle and con, just because I sit here and practice on Prefire maps, just clearing out angles and making sure I'm clearing these angles thoroughly, and I'm not being lazy about it where I'm just dry swinging everything. And what I mean by dry swinging is literally just like running like this, just not even trying to kill anyone. I'm just running, holding W or just strafe, which isn't what you want to do when you have a Deagle. So you want to make sure that you're practicing stopping on a dime, clearing these angles, and doing it at a faster rate, because if your teammates are behind you, you need to be able to take that space. So that's the best advice I could give for you guys with the Deagle, that if you master counter strafing and that crosshair placement, you're going to be super efficient with the Deagle, and you're going to hit some Niko highlight rounds.
If this video helped you, make sure to check out these 6 mechanics that you can abuse in CS2 to win more games by clicking the video on screen now. Peace out.